And now, Womansplaining with Tabitha. Tabitha and I have seen some people online who are arguing that it is discrimination or bigotry to not want to sleep with somebody who used to be a different sex. In other words, if you're attracted to females and you don't want to sleep with a male to female trans person, then somehow you are a bigot or a sexist. And we're wondering, well, what about the person's right to sleep with who they want to sleep with and not sleep with who they do not want to sleep with? In other words, whatever happened to informed consent? So this is the subject that came up the other night in bed, and this is what Tabitha had to say.
Nowadays, we live in a society where the feminazis go, you have to give consent, then give consent again, then get consent again, and then so on and so forth. Basically, you have men nowadays who have to sign a mountain's worth of paperwork. Like, they're signing a fucking novel where at the end that you own their soul, just so that you can't go, oh, you raped me 10 seconds after.
Right.
Alright? If in that state where this guy has to fucking sell you his soul to get some ass, right? You then turn around and go, oh, how dare you ask me if I used to be a man? That is hypocritical to the max. I mean, the least you can do after making him sign his fucking ass to you like that is to come forward with the, yeah, dude, I used to have a dick. It's just really easy. He's not asking you to sign paperwork. He'd just like to know if you used to have balls. You know?
Right, but you're a sexist bigot if you're going to discriminate against the person.
Well, then label me sexist and bigoted because I want to know. If I'm going to fuck somebody, I want to know. Were you the same sex as me at one point? Because I don't find that cool. I'm sorry. It's not my cup of tea. My door swings one fucking way, okay?
But you know, it's not true that there is such a thing as biological sex.
It's not correct that there is such a thing as biological sex, and I'm a historian of medicine. I can unpack that for you at great length if you want, but in the interest of time, I won't. So that's a very popular misconception.
So, if you say that there is sex, then
Hi, Cooter. Yeah. I'm gonna say there's I've got a pussy. So.
But.
Yeah. What was the Women's March for? If there's no actual biological sex, what were they all crying about? Their pussies.
Well,
apparently those don't exist. Down there is just like a Ken doll. It's rounded. There's no holes. In fact, they just magically pee out of nowhere. It's like a mist. Psst, into the toilet. So there's a rainbow. There's even a fucking rainbow.
But see, you can identify as a person with a penis, and if somebody says, no, you have a pussy, that's discrimination.
Sorry. Anyone who argues that should be not allowed to breathe. Right? Well, you're so dumb. We need to put you in a facility where you cannot hurt yourself. Because you are a moron. You are a fucking moron. Your brain has eaten itself and it's gone.
If you identify... Wait, no. If you insist that there is such a thing as biological sex, then you are a sexist.
Well, I guess I'm a sexist because you know what? I have tits and a fucking pussy and I grew them myself.
How long before...
And you have a dick and you grew that. So I'm going to say, yeah, you're a dude.
But I identify as a woman with a pussy.
What hurts?
Ow!
What hurts? What part is hurt? Does your pussy hurt right now? Yeah, I didn't think so. That would be your balls that I used to use as a clacker. Remember this. Somebody tells you that they're not a dude and there's just no sex at all and there's no such thing as biological sex, get them in the balls and tell them what hurts. Sometimes you gotta be ruthless and wake somebody up because they're being stupid. Just like if some chick came to me and says, I have no sex, but I can see her tits, I'm knuckle punching her right in the nipple. You're like, tell me that didn't hurt. We're demented. But only in the best ways.
We amuse me.
Yes, we do.
I can't breathe.
I cried.
I can't breathe. demented.
I'm gonna turn this off now.
Upon the following morn, we opined as follows.
Think about it. There are men out there who are very family orientated, okay? They grow up and they decide that they want a family, right? So they go out and they look for a woman who can do this for them, who wants to do this with them, who wants a family just as bad as they do. Well, say that person gets with a transgender who doesn't want to fucking admit who they are because they want a fucking happily ever after. I get that you want that happily ever after, but so does he. And so by you lying and not telling him, you're taking that away. Because we'll say he falls in love with you, right? Because he doesn't know. Right? Falls in love with you. Eventually you two get married. And then after the marriage is, sealed and everything, he goes, why is it for the last 3 years I can't get this girl pregnant? Nothing's happening. We should probably take you to the gynecologist. And at that point, your fucking ass has to admit to him, honey, I used to be a man. I have no fucking uterus.
Right. And then the crying game scene happens.
Yes, I mean, this is not okay. He deserves the respect from his partner, just as like you deserve the respect from your partner. And if you're intending to go into a relationship not spilling the truth about who you are in hopes that you're going to trap somebody into your fantasy is false now, because that person actually doesn't want you. They want the image, but not the you. The you is a trans. Admit it and own it. If the person wants you and truly loves you, they don't care if you used to have a dick or a vagina. They really don't fucking care. They're happy that you are you. But if you're gonna lie to get in that relationship so that you can have this fake happily ever after, then fuck you. Fuck you, because you're fucking with somebody else's reality as well. That's not okay.
Right, and it seems to me like perhaps some of this push to make society agree that it is wrong to want to know what a person's sex at birth is perhaps an attempt to take away the personal responsibility, the ethical responsibility of the individual to be honest. If society all believes that, well, it's wrong for a person to want to know, well, then all of a sudden it's okay for you to not tell them.
Yeah, and that's not okay.
Or to lie.
Think about if it was you. Say you're the transgender, right? And you get in a relationship, and the person you get in a relationship with, say you're a male to female, right? You're that transgender. But yet, you aren't gay, so you don't want a guy. You want a girl. Because that part of your identity, that part of your brain still says, I want a female. Even though you have transgendered into one. Right? So technically you're gay now. Alright? You're a lesbian. But you get with somebody who's also transgendered. A male to female. Looks like a female, but has the equipment of a guy. Or had the equipment of a guy. Wouldn't you feel that you deserved to know that the person you're with is not the person you think you are with? That's how you should see it when you go into any relationship. You should see, is it fair for me to hold something back from that person? Would I like it if they did that to me? If I put myself in that situation? It's called fucking empathy, bitches. Learn it. It has nothing to do with your sex orientation or, your feelings.
Or bigotry or bias or sexism. It has to do with honesty.
Yes, honesty. Have empathy for the ones that you're going to put yourself on. Right? They have a right, just like you have a right. And I know, like I said, everybody wants the happily ever after. You don't lie to get that. That's how you don't get that.
And it gets even worse. It's not only an objection to wanting to know what sex a person is inside and what they were born. There's also this push to get society to agree that it's bigotry to say, well, you present as a female, but if you have a penis in your pants, I don't want to go to bed with you. They want people to think that that is wrong. Like, look, just pay attention to how the person presents themselves on the outside with their clothing, with their hair, with makeup and whatnot, and have zero concern with what their body is underneath their clothing. That's what some of these people are actually saying online, that you are a bigot if you go out and meet somebody and you think they're a boy, then you go home and you realize they have a pussy, and you say, well, I don't want to sleep with you, you're a female. It's supposed to be bigoted.
Yeah, it is because they want to turn society into this realm of, if you are straight, be ashamed. If you are straight, you have to force yourself to experiment. Meaning, I'm gay, so I'm privileged. Meaning, you have to do what I want to do. If I want to sleep with you, you don't get a choice, or I'm going to whip out the bigot card and fling it at your forehead.
And it's not just about straight or gay. It's also a prejudice against cisgendered people. So, I mean, there are heterosexual transgendered people, that's okay. But a heterosexual cis person, in other words, a person that remains the sex and the gender that they were, remains the sex that they were assigned at birth and maintains the gender that normally goes along with that sex, somehow they're bad.
Yeah, it's like, no one's bad. The only people who are bad are those that try to impose themselves upon others through lies and deceit and manipulation and threats. You know, that's not okay. If they don't want to be with you, then you shouldn't want to be with them. If you're trans and you can't fucking own up to that, fuck you. Anyone else in society doesn't deserve that. You know, until you can own up to your own fucking shit, don't be trying to have partners, because you're just going to fuck them all up. That's how relationships work. You fuck them up when you're not ready for them.
And I would say that honesty is always the best policy. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Tabitha agrees.
It's the only true policy. I mean, that's what I mean. If you're not ready for a relationship, then you're going to lie and manipulate. People who lie and manipulate are the ones who often cheat, or steal, or do other stupid things in the relationship that cause that relationship to crumble right before them. And then they blame it on the person who left. And it's like, no, you're the one that fucked it up. Yeah. You weren't ready. You just threw yourself into it thinking that this is what you really want because emotions. Alright? You have to be older than your emotions to understand the complexities of a relationship. And you don't get that by lying to your partner. That's bottom line. If you feel like you're going to go into a relationship and have to lie, don't do it. It's already doomed. Pretty much, it's fucked up.
Now, hopefully the following is not necessary to say, but I would imagine that there are a few people out there who still don't get why this would be unethical unless we actually put it in the following terms. What if you're a female woman who wants to have a relationship and have babies? You fall in love with what you think has been a male all their lives because they didn't tell you they used to be a female, and then you find out you can't have children with this man. Is that fair? And why do I have to flip it, put the shoe on the other foot? I really shouldn't have to, but some of you people don't get it unless you do. Wait, a woman would detriment from lying? Well, then it's not okay to lie.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the bias that we live under nowadays.
Yeah, in actuality, it's just not okay to lie. Period. The ends do not justify the means. Your agenda doesn't justify lying, etc.
Exactly. Stop lying. Stop trying to impress this thought on society that if you lie, it's okay because you're trans or you're gay, so you're allowed to lie. No, it's not. If you think that your partner, the straight person, or that, straight people in general need to tell the truth no matter what, and we all know you feminazis lose your fucking balls if a guy doesn't tell the absolute truth about everything about himself, then you need to hold yourselves to that same standard. They gotta be truthful, so do you. You don't like it? Fuck off.
Yeah, as I've been saying a lot lately, whatever happened to principle? Let's not take a case-by-case bias. Here's a situation, what's my bias on this? Here's another situation, and what's my bias on that? No, you shouldn't even ask that. You should have a principle, in the first place and apply that principle to every situation, no matter what. So of course this is anything but conclusive, this is only suggestive, this is not anything like formal scientific research. Also the test sample, that is the number of people answering the questions, is very small compared to what you would want if you were doing a real scientific research, but be that as it may, it is somewhat suggestive. The question is it wrong to want to know if a potential sex partner has transitioned from one sex to another before having sex with them? As you can see in this particular group, we have 13 people saying no, it's not wrong, 2 people saying yes, it is wrong, and 6 people saying if you have to ask, then your priorities are wrong. In other words, yes, it is wrong. So that's really 8 people saying yes, it is wrong to want to know. In this next group, we have one person saying yes, it is wrong, and one person saying, you like my friend, me Dubai. I'm bottom, age 37. In this group, we have 3 people saying yes, it is wrong, 18 people saying no. In this group, we have 24 people saying yes, it is wrong to want to know, and 38 people saying no, it's not wrong. And then we have 8 people saying fuck your polls. 4 people saying it depends, if willing yes, if not no. We have 3 people saying, why did you even make this so we can add poll options? You know we were just going to say dumb shit like Harambe. And 3 people saying your polls are fucking bullshit. Oh, that's awesome. And in this last group, we have 5 people saying yes, it is wrong to want to know, and 13 saying no, it is not wrong to want to know. Notice that in all of these groups, it is the minority of people who identify as trans who are answering yes, it is wrong. Thankfully, the majority think, no, it's not wrong to want to know. However, the yeses are still there, and perhaps too high of a number. And in one of the groups that I asked, well, the question where the poll was deleted because it triggered somebody. This question asks if it is wrong to want to know the current biological sex of a potential sex partner. In other words, is it wrong to want to know if a man has a penis or a vagina before getting naked? As you can see, 14 people said yes, it is wrong to want to know what is under the clothes before actually engaging in sex. 155 people say no, it's not wrong. So again, here we see the minority, although kind of an alarming number of people, think that it is wrong to want to know. Different group, same question, worded a little differently. We have 5 people saying yes, it is wrong to want to know what is under the clothes. That's more people than who said no. 4 people said no. It's a little alarming. In this group we have 19 people saying yes, it is wrong, and 210 people saying no, it is not wrong. Now I noticed that in these groups there was a fair amount of hostility and anger towards me just for asking the question. In the group from which the poll was deleted, before it was deleted, there was a person who was basically typing out tirades of insults towards me, which I completely ignored. And it may be that this person who was typing out a lot of insults was the person who got the poll deleted. So there you go. Of course, this is not scientific research. It is not conclusive. However, it is suggestive and indicative. Now here's a little bit of identity politics for you. As a man, no, not as a man, as a human being, I think that there's nothing wrong with, for example, a woman wanting to know what size penis a man has before having sex with him. What if it's a deal breaker? What if it's way too big or way too small? You know, is that wrong? Is she a bigot for wanting to know that before actually getting too serious with somebody? I don't think so. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I saw one person comment on a question that you asked about that. You know, is it wrong to ask if somebody's transgendered? You know, before you get in a relationship with them. One of the commenters said, no, how dare you? You have the right to know. This is a person who's going to be joining with your body. You have the right to know what their fucking farts smell like if you want. You know? This is your right. You're about to fucking mate with this person. You get to know.
What if it's a deal breaker? Yeah. If every one of their farts smells like death?
Right? Sorry, baby. I gas him regularly. I've chased him out of the room twice.
It's chemical warfare. No, she's kidding.
No, but you're not a transphobe. You're not a bigot. You're none of those things for purely wanting to know and asking. And if the person that you're supposed to be getting with or thinking of getting with gets their panties in a bunch, then you deserve better than that. Because they obviously have not come to terms with who they are and are ashamed of it on some level. So they become defensive at the mention of it. That's not okay. Because that's what it is. If you're going to be like, wow, the second somebody mentions, were you once a boy?
Right.
Or were you once a girl?
Right.
That means you haven't come to terms with your transgendering.
Good point.
You got to look at things from a psychological standpoint.
Right.
And so this is definitely somebody you don't want to be in a relationship with because they're not ready. They're just not ready. And again, you're not transphobic for wanting to know this. You're not a bigot for wanting to know this. I just want to make sure that is cemented into my words because people tend to glaze over very important things when somebody speaks.
Right.
So I'm just going to keep reiterating that until it sticks because I have no choice now. There are people that you can hear me talk, but it just goes in one ear and out the other, and you catch like maybe a quarter of a fucking sentence.
Oh, there's people also who will take this, and intentionally edit out.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's perhaps fair to say that if you do have a sex change, that doesn't mean that your former sex is in the past because it's still present in the form of hormones. So there's chromosomal sex, of course, yes. But also in your hormones, there's still that ongoing, that ongoing chemical processes. You don't permanently switch chemically speaking, hormonally speaking, from one to the other. I mean, I think you still have to take hormone therapy, don't you, even after sex change. So it is an ongoing thing. It's not just in the past.
After a sex change, say it's a guy to girl situation, right? After the testes are removed, the testosterone production from the body is pretty much, But there's mild traces of it because every human body has that. Women have it. Our body produces it.
Right.
Just like a man's body will continue to produce it, just without his testicles on a much lower scale.
Right.
That's why when a transgender begins to age and they hit around 50 years old, they get the masculine changes.
Right.
It doesn't mean they look more manly. It just means that they're aging like a man would age. The ass tends to disappear. The belly tends to grow.
Nose and ears.
Get hair. There's sagging of the jowls in a particular way.
Yeah.
These are all traits of a male who ages. And it's your biology. It's your DNA. It knows what you are. You can change your face to be whatever you want it to be. But when you were born, it was set in stone. Your cells know. They remember. And so when it comes time, it's going to show. The same with a woman who is transgendered to be a man. There are physical changes. Unless she's been gutted, she's going to go through menopause.
Right.
Which is severe emotional and hormonal time. There's all kinds of changes. They tend to look more manly afterward because of the lack of estrogen and the oversupply of testosterone at that point.
Right.
That's why you get the little beard that they grow and they get wacky. Because it's just like now they're starting to feel mannish,
Yeah.
And they can't stand it. But, and they have hormones for that. But either way, there will come a point when their physical form changes as well because of what they are.
Right.
So you can't hide from it. You have to come to terms with it at some point. If you want to be healthy, mentally healthy, you are going to have to come to terms with what you were born as. You can hide from it as much as you want, but one day it's going to catch up with you and you're going to see it in the mirror again and you're going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And at that point, there's no running. Unless you are fucking Caitlyn Jenner and you have a shitload of money.
And you ran
somebody over. And you have a shitload of money to continue to change the facial structure and body structure that is warping on you. You will eventually one day look like what you were born as. There's no getting around it. And the thing is like, the people who say no to that, like, no, you shouldn't wonder, you shouldn't want to know, you've basically stated that it's wrong to question. It's wrong to inquire. It's wrong to think.
So it's thought policing, right?
Yes, it's what it is. It's like, no one has the right, I'm going to stress this, no one has the right to tell you what you can or cannot ask, or what you can and cannot think, or what you can and cannot wonder about. That's your personal brain. Your brain is your brain, not theirs. There's no collective mind. We're all fucking individuals. And yeah, there's a bunch of sheep on the planet that just want to the fucking tune of the lead goat, or ram, whatever you call it. There's a lot of people like that. But if they took time to really think, which is the problem that they don't think, then they'd understand that they are separate from them. So if somebody says, you shouldn't, they have no right to tell you you shouldn't, unless it involves you robbing a bank, committing murder, rape, or incest.
Or otherwise just violating somebody else's individual rights.
Exactly. Unless it's underneath that line, then no one should say, you can't, you shouldn't, don't you. Because they're assaulting your personal brain at that point. They're saying, I own you. Do as I say. Which no one fucking owns you. No one should act like they own you. And if they do, you've got 2 middle fingers. Use them.
You, the viewer, might want to look into CCLE, the Center for Cognitive Liberty and Ethics. And basically, in a nutshell, it's a group of attorneys and cognitive specialists who are against thought police. So basically, it's about cognitive liberty. In other words, mental freedom. Or the freedom from the thought police.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, when I was a little girl in the 80s growing up, all through the 80s to the mid-90s, all I ever heard was, do whatever you want, think whatever you want, be whatever you want, right? That was the main slogan for my childhood. But then all of a sudden the PC brigade starts going, how dare you think for yourself? How dare you want that? How dare you think that? How dare you say that? It's like, excuse me? How is it for the majority of my fucking life, all I heard was encouragement about free thought? And now you assholes are trying to fucking cull me into this mindset of, don't you dare think for yourself. That's disgusting. Because that's what they're imparting to children now.
Yeah.
Don't you think for yourself. Do what the herd says. You know what the herd does? The herd jumps off a fucking cliff because one of the assholes in the group decided that would be fun for the day. That's what the herd does.
Or because some wolves drove them over the cliff. Yeah, I think the changeover that you're speaking of, and I think perhaps the reason why that has happened is because the illiberal left has dominated the left and kind of driven the liberal left sort of out of it. As far as they're concerned, anyway. They're like, oh, if you're liberal, you're right-wing.
Think for yourself. In all things, think for yourself. If somebody says something to you, question it. Now, unless they have verifiable proof in their fucking hand when they tell you, you question it. And even then, you question it. Because proof can be faked.
And question your own questioning. In other words, doubt whether or not you're doubting things enough.
Yeah, think with a scientific mind. I can be wrong, they can be wrong, and everything else can be wrong. So I should probably question this shit numerous times.
And that's the only way you're going to ever arrive at truth, is by questioning everything.
Yeah. Otherwise, you know what? If you want to just be a sheeple or a lemming and jump off that fucking cliff, go right ahead. More room for the rest of us.
When you're a scientist, you know that you'll never have answers to your research unless you actually test things. And you want to test everything. Then you want to test whether or not your test was testing correctly. And you keep testing.
It's like, never stop questioning. Just never. If you know, it doesn't matter if something seems fishy or not. Always question.
Yeah. If you don't question, that's like being a scientist or a researcher who doesn't do any research.
Yeah, sort of like CNN. Whatever drops on their desk, they're like, yeah, fact.
Well, the Young Turks, to be fair,
BuzzFeed as well, Huffington Post. Sometimes Huffington gets it right. Most of the time, they're just, whatever sounds good.
Right. And these are places, these are news outlets that actually do reporting and investigating themselves. Then you have the Young Turks who only comments on those other ones we just mentioned.
Oh yeah, but yeah, like I said, it's always good. Just question. Question everything, and don't let anybody tell you you can't question.
So I noticed today, Tabitha, that the poll, one of the polls that I left in, or that I posted in one of the trans people groups about their opinion on this issue, was taken down, and the admin was at least nice enough to personally message me and say, sorry, I had to take your post down, or your questionnaire down, your poll down.
Did they explain why they had to be?
Yes, they explain why. Because the people, or person, I mean, maybe more than one person, but only one person expressed outrage over that fact that I was even asking the question, right? So the admin says, because of the people that are upset over the question. So as I pointed out to the admin, so basically, most of us were enjoying the poll. Most of us were enjoying the conversation. We weren't arguing with each other, but we were expressing different opinions.
Being adults, not
Being-
fits.
Yes, being adults, and I said, so basically you allowed the minority crybaby to have their way and to violate everybody else's rights to freely communicate with each other like mature adults. And as I pointed out, this basically follows the suicidal shoot yourself in the foot trend of allowing the nutjobs who make the entire movement look bad rule the entire fucking movement. So this is the same thing as the majority of trans people are against laws that force you to say certain things. The minority are for laws that force you to say certain things. The minority were the ones who won. They got Bill C-16 passed in Canada. They got the similar bill passed in New York City. This is the minority extremists who are ruining the entire movement who are allowed to drive the car. It's like getting into a car...
Getting into a car with a fucking 10-year-old and letting the 10-year-old drive.
Yeah.
You know you shouldn't do it. You know it's probably a really fucking dumb move, but you're like, you know what? I'm lazy. Drive.
Well, lazy, it's not so much lazy as just...
I think it is, because if you had the balls to fight, fighting takes energy. Fighting takes persistence. This is an act of laziness. Oh, well, the baby's crying, and we'll shut up. And you know, I'm just going to be a bad person and a bad parent. I'm just going to let them do what they want.
We're going to ruin the entire
Just gonna
party.
coddle.
We're going to ruin the entire party for everybody here because of the one cry bully.
They're a child in the toy aisle throwing themselves on the floor screaming, give me, and what do? You're giving into it? Who the hell, what kind of good person gives into that kind of mentality? Coddling them does not treat them equally, okay? If somebody's going to be a crybaby, to coddle said crybaby is basically telling the crybaby, you are lower than the rest of us humans, so I'm going to give you what you want because you're like a dog and you just won't understand.
Yeah.
You don't know speaky the English.
Right, but
you know?
you're also telling the reasonable good people...
That they don't matter. They don't matter. It's like, oh, the majority of you really, you were enjoying this? That's okay, I'm sorry, but you fucking don't matter at all. That little bitch in the corner who's throwing a fucking tantrum over words, not actions, words.
Reasonable questions, by the way. You folks get... Look, it's on your screen right now. This is what triggered this person and made them so upset.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a reasonable question. It's not like you're not saying, the question is not referenced in, well, should you be allowed to ask them, in passing on the street? Not that you have any interest in them or anything like that. You don't even want to be friends with them. You're just like, oh, well, I wonder, are you fucking trans? No, we're not talking redneck politics here. We're talking honest questions. Mostly based around relationship.
Yeah, it comes down to informed consent. If you do not get informed consent, you're engaging in you're guilty of at least taking advantage of a person. At worst, it's kind of rape.
It is. That's what I was going to say. You know what? If the trans community or part of the trans community wants to start pulling this fucking card where they're like, well, if you don't date me because I'm trans, or you want to know if I'm trans before you date me, that makes you a bigot and they're just a homophobe monster. I'm going to start saying that all of you trans that try and sleep with somebody or successfully sleep with somebody without first identifying yourself as what you are,
On false pretenses.
are automatically rapists. If a guy can do that to a woman, if a guy can say something to a woman, like now it's if the guy removes the condom. apparently he's committed rape. So
Removes the condom during sex?
yeah, and now apparently that's rape. Okay, well, if you're gonna go that crazy over a hetero man doing something that's stupid, then I'm gonna say we, the straight people in the world, should do the same thing back to you guys. If you want to fucking play this war, this is what it's gonna come down to. Tit for fucking tat.
And you're gonna lose.
Yes, you will lose. And you don't want that. None of us want that. We would all like to live peacefully, but you all are making it very difficult with your goddamn identity politics.
Yeah, you don't want us pointing out your hate speech and making it illegal for you to practice your hate speech. Because you know what? You are going to lose. Because most of us actually do not say hateful things. You do.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? Like I said, if y'all want to pull that card that I'm horrible because I don't want to sleep with you because I'm not gay and sleeping with you would be an act of being gay. And my biology is not for that. Like, I smell you, you don't smell like a man. You might be wearing the colognes, but your hormones are not that of the man. You can take pills. That does not change the fact that, again, you do not really smell like a man. So I really don't have interest in fucking you. Right? But if you're going to lie and manipulate and really come across as a visually perceivable man and then not tell me and I find out later, that's tantamount to fucking rape. And I will definitely call that shit. I'll be like, yeah, that's rape and call the cops.
Mm-hmm. Now, I just noticed something today, which I should have realized earlier, which is that it is not only the extreme who are demanding things like laws against freedom of speech, laws that force you to use certain gender pronouns. They are not only the problem. The problem is also, and perhaps the bigger problem, is the non-extremists who give into that and allow them to rule the roost, which kind of makes you an extremist along with them. If you allow the extremists to rule, then you're with them. You're on their side.
If you're going to be an apologist and let somebody terrorize the group because, well, they are different in some way, then you know what? You're culpable in all the acts that they create.
Yeah, if you support an ideology,
it gets depressed because now you're in the group with you, and they can't talk, they can't express themselves, they can't say anything because the little bitch in the corner has you wrapped around their finger. Every time they cry, you censor. People are gonna hate you, right? They're gonna hate being in your group. They're gonna hate being around you. They're gonna hate being around trans. This is no different than how BAM and Antifa have actually increased the number of neo-Nazis and KKK recruits.
Right, and they also drive moderate people who are usually on the good side, who are usually anti-racist, who are usually pro-trans, who are usually...
Consider joining those ranks of the assholes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the thing is that that's not fair. Had it not been for, a bunch of ass wipes going around, causing scenes and hurting people with enormous acts of violence or trying to take rights away from citizens, the KKK, their numbers would be down and dwindling like they've always been.
Yeah, and now the Traditionalist Youth Network are gaining a lot of supporters because of fucking Antifa and BAMN.
Exactly. So when you do stupid shit like that to fucking make a display in an attempt to stop something, you've actually caused people to go, hey, why are you doing that? Why have you're worse than them now. Now, I don't want to join you. I should probably go join them. Because they need some help from you monsters.
And notice that in my video on the Sacramento riots, people go look that one up, I demonstrate the fact that Antifa also attack people who are anti-racist but pro-freedom of speech, who are just there at the Capitol, like father and son go to the Capitol just to visit the Capitol. They say, well, what's wrong with practicing freedom of speech? And they were attacked.
Yeah.
A child.
A minor child was attacked.
With the support of the state, by the way. The police in Sacramento fully supported what Antifa did. They were on their fucking side. They helped Antifa to violate the Constitution. Our overarching point here is that these extremists are pushing normal people to demonize the left. People are now looking at the entire left and saying they're all bad. They're looking at liberals and they're saying, well, liberalism is bad because these people who are not liberal are saying they're liberal, and I'm against everything these people who say that they're liberal are for, so therefore I must be against liberalism.
You literally go after people who are different than you.
Right.
Because they're not you. They don't want to sleep with you. So you're mad.
Right.
And you've got to attack them in some weird effort to try and make them want to sleep with you.
Right.
That's a very abusive mentality.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
manipulation.
abuse you mentally until you give me what I want. That's sick.
Oh, and by the way, Tabitha, you know that there's going to be people out there who are going to say, oh, you guys are just transphobic or homophobic, Islamophobic, and whatnot. I'd like to point out that not only do we have friends that are gay and trans friends and, say, friends and roommates who just want to put on skirts sometimes and dress up as a girl.
I love my trans friends. Those bitches do better makeup than I do.
And I myself used to DJ at gay, straight, bisexual clubs for many years. And so these people are my peers and my friends. And I too have dressed up, well, maybe not exactly like a woman, but, you know, makeup and heels.
Hot, I give you that.
Thank you.
He's got legs that kill.
I mean,
God.
I am certainly gender bending. But the point is that no, we're not homophobic. No, we're not transphobic. No, we're not Muslim phobic. We have nothing against Muslim people. So don't be fucking stupid.
Or you can be stupid, but then I'll make fun of you.
Yeah, okay, go ahead and be stupid so we can make fun of you.
Give me ammo.
This has been This has been Womansplaining with Tabitha. This has been Womansplaining with Tabitha.